Okay, so we talked about this yesterday, but since it has stretched into a second day, let's talk about it again today. For a century, no election for the Speaker of the House went beyond one ballot. For 50 years, in fact, from 1945 to 1995, the ballots for Speaker of the House went directly along party lines. Two party lines, one Republican, one Democrat, each received the full votes of their respective party. So here we are today, day two, 6 ballots later, still no Speaker of the House chosen. A faction of Republicans, a group of about 20 known as the Never Kevins, have kept Representative Kevin McCarthy from getting the majority 218 votes to win the gavel. To help explain this moment in history, Joe Paris sought out the expertise of Boise State's Dr. Charles Hunt.
No member-elect having received the majority of the votes cast, a speaker has not been elected.
It's January 4th, 2023, after 5 p.m. Mountain Time, and there is still no Speaker of the GOP-controlled House in the United States Congress.
It's unprecedented in the modern era. As many folks have been saying already, this kind of thing hasn't happened in about 100 years.
Dr. Charles Hunt is a political expert at Boise State. He focuses on the United States Congress. After 6 rounds of voting, 3 Tuesday,
Speaker has not been elected. A speaker has not been elected. A speaker has not been elected.
Another 3 so far Wednesday, Republicans are stuck on a split that prevents California Representative Kevin McCarthy from being elected as Speaker of the U.S. House. 20 Republicans refuse, instead voting for Representative Byron Donalds from Florida.
It doesn't seem like it is destined to change anytime particularly soon. They're going to try and meet tonight and probably try to hammer something out, but these 20 or so folks seem as steadfast as they possibly could be about the fact that they are really not happy with Kevin McCarthy.
Idaho's representatives in the House, Reps. Fulcher and Simpson, both have voted for McCarthy in all rounds of voting so far. The group of 20 voting against McCarthy includes mostly members of the House Freedom Caucus voting bloc. Fulcher is in that Freedom Caucus, but his votes show a difference within the caucus.
He even pointed that out in an interview yesterday, basically saying, look, the Freedom Caucus is not united in this front against McCarthy. But he and Simpson have both sort of stood fast here. And so for me, these members who have continued to vote against McCarthy, they may have various reasons for doing so. Some of them may be thinking about the institution. Some of them may be thinking about re-election and potential primaries. It doesn't seem like Simpson or Fulcher is particularly, keyed in on that front. Maybe they feel they're fairly safe or have some, institutional or ideological objections to the way this process is playing out, or we should say is not playing out.
Dr. Hunt says Idahoans can basically look at Idaho's votes in the House as status quo. The lack of a speaker in the U.S. House is a huge deal, one that prevents actual work from happening there.
The speaker needs to be in place in order for House business to actually happen, and that includes swearing in these new members of Congress and re-swearing in the old members. And so, there's a lot of ways in which this is a preview of coming attractions, right? We've got the debt ceiling fight, we've got, government spending, we've got, all kinds of bills that are going to come up if they ever get sworn in here. And I don't see how, this is just a procedural matter over who's the speaker. What's going to happen when we get to actual legislation?
For now, the American people can only wait and watch.
But these can go on for weeks. These can go on for months. And, for the sake of policymaking in this country, I hope that's not the case. But, this is a real question and a real issue that Republicans need to figure out before they want to accomplish anything with their new majority.
So there's a good chance that they actually have a 7th vote tonight. The United States House is set to get back together at 6 p.m. Mountain Time here tonight. And Brian, from that point, it'll be interesting to find out if any deals were made behind closed doors, because that's really what happens after vote after vote after vote. They get to a point where they realize, okay, well, nothing's going to change here. We better go do some backroom negotiating and see where we go from here. Did that happen over the last few hours? Likely not, but we'll be watching at 6 p.m. And again, nothing can happen in Congress until this issue is resolved. And as Dr. Hunt said, there's nothing preventing this from going on for days or weeks.
And the last time it went for weeks or months was back in 1855, when it went for 133 ballots, and 2 months later they finally had a Speaker of the House. 1923, just 9 ballots. Almost there. We're 2/3 of the way there.
And I just want to say, in this moment in time, there are no members of the United States Congress because the House hasn't been sworn in. So it's almost like, technically, we don't have a government right now.
They're trying to figure it all out. All right, thank you very much, Joe.